Welcome to your deep dive. We're diving into something today that I think is relevant to, well, everyone. It's all about how to create a more fulfilling life, and we're going to be drawing on the work of Dr. Haifaa Younis. She has this really, really powerful metaphor that she uses the heart as a crystal vase. Isn't that a striking image?
It's interesting, right? I mean, who thinks of their heart that way?
Right.
But what's so cool about this image is that we all know what a crystal vase is. Right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, it's clear, it reflects light. And she's using that to represent our inner world, like our spiritual well-being.
It's so true. Like, you have the sparkling, clean vase, that represents like the pure potential within us. But then, life happens.
And that's just it. It's exactly what she's saying. Dr. Younis talks about how over time, this vase, just like our hearts, can start to get a little cloudy. And it's not this like sudden thing, right? It's gradual. We start accumulating what she calls dirt, these negative emotions, limiting beliefs, unhealthy attachments, all that stuff.
So true. So like, what exactly is this dirt? Can we break that down a little bit? Because she mentions things like anger, jealousy, dishonesty, like being overly attached to material possessions. I mean, haven't we all struggled with that at some point? That feeling of like, ugh, my inner vase is getting kind of grimy.
Exactly. We've all been there. But here's the thing to remember. This dirt, it doesn't just impact us on like a spiritual level. It has a very real impact on our mental and emotional health too.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. When that crystal vase is cloudy, it doesn't reflect light as well, right?
Yeah.
It distorts the way we see ourselves and how we see the world.
It's so true. It's like having all that emotional baggage, it weighs us down, it steals our joy, keeps us from feeling like light and free. It kind of reminds me of this one time, actually. I was out, never mind. But what I wanted to say was that it's really interesting how Dr. Younis really emphasizes that this cleansing process, getting rid of that dirt, it's a journey. Like, you can't just take a dirty vase, give it a quick rinse, and expect it to be sparkling new again.
Not at all. It takes time, it takes effort, and you have to do it the right way.
It's reassuring in a way, isn't it? Like, we don't have to be perfect right away. It's a process.
And it's interesting, this whole idea of purifying yourself, it's not new, right? It's not like some modern self-help trend. It's a big deal in Islamic tradition where it's called tazkiyah. In fact, it's one of the 3 fundamental messages that the Prophet Muhammad emphasized.
Wow. I had no idea it went back that far. So, like, how does this concept of tazkiyah actually play out in, day-to-day life? What does it look like?
Well, Dr. Younis gives us this framework for approaching it. And she starts by encouraging us to really identify what the problems are. Like, what is the specific dirt that tends to, cloud up our own personal vase?
So that's step 1. Get real with ourselves and acknowledge, like, what's dimming our inner light? So then we figure that out. Now what do we do?
Well, once we kind of know what we're dealing with, once we see those like stubborn dirt spots, Dr. Younis says, we really got to take a look at the company we keep. Because here's the thing, the people we surround ourselves with, they can either help us polish that vase, make it all shiny, or they can actually make it dirtier.
Oh, that is so true. I've totally experienced that. It's like, if you're trying to eat healthy, but everyone around you is like ordering pizza and takeout all the time, it's so much harder to resist. So it's the same kind of thing here, but we're talking about like who we're spending our time with and how they impact our energy, right?
You got it. Choosing the right company, it's super important for this whole purification thing. And it's not just about like avoiding the negative people in our lives, It's about actively looking for those connections that lift us up. You know what I mean? People who inspire us and help us grow.
It's like surrounding yourself with people who like reflect back a better version of you. So, okay, we've identified the dirt. We're being choosy about our friends. What's next in this whole cleansing process? How do we actually start cleaning that metaphorical vase?
And this is where it gets even cooler. This is where Dr. Younis brings in some like actual tools we can use. And the metaphor, it just gets stronger. She talks about these specific spiritual practices, and get this, she calls them cleansing agents for our crystal vase.
Okay, I love that. Tell me more about these cleansing agents.
So one of the most powerful ones she talks about is dhikr. And dhikr, it just means remembrance of God. So basically, it's about shifting your focus. You take your mind off of all the worries and distractions of the world, and you focus on the divine. You can repeat certain phrases or like just be present in the moment, knowing that God is there with you.
It's like hitting the reset button on your brain, just like gently reminding yourself what really matters. I bet that's really helpful when you're feeling stressed out.
It totally is. And we're thinking about that vase metaphor, right? Beak is like It's like a soft polishing cloth. You just keep wiping away the dust and the grime that builds up. It helps you find that sense of peace again and remember your purpose.
That makes so much sense. What other cleansing agents does she recommend? What else can we use?
Another big one is engaging with the Quran. Dr. Younis explains that when you really take the time to read the Quran, reflect on it, connect with the wisdom that's in there, it purifies your heart. Like imagine that vase again. It's like you're giving it a bath in this pure, revitalizing water. It washes away all the impurities.
So it's more than just reading the words on the page. You have to let them sink in, let them guide you.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many ways to do that. You can listen to someone recite it, or study the meaning, or even just think about a verse that really speaks to you.
She's really good at making these practices come alive with that vase metaphor.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It makes them feel so much more relatable. And it's not all about these structured practices either. Dr. Younis also talks about how important it is to just be in nature. Appreciating how beautiful it is. That sense of peace you get, it's incredibly grounding.
Oh, 100%. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm feeling stressed, I just head straight for the closest park or something. Have you ever noticed that, how just being around trees and stuff can totally shift your perspective? I swear I can literally feel the stress just melting away when I'm out in nature. It's wild.
It's powerful stuff. And it really connects back to this whole heart as a crystal vase thing, when we're stressed or overwhelmed or whatever. It's like our vase is, I don't know, full of clutter, blocking the light from shining through. But being in nature is like this gust of wind comes through and just sweeps all that clutter away. And suddenly your vase is crystal clear again.
I love that image. It's so perfect. It's like nature just has this way of helping us reconnect with our own inner peace and clarity.
Totally. And you know what else Dr. Younis talks about? The power of less.
Less is more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's saying that when we simplify our lives, when we consume less, do less, and, detach from all that material stuff, we actually make more room for spiritual growth and fulfillment.
That's so interesting. It's decluttering not just our homes and stuff, but our minds and hearts too, right? What do you think about that?
I think it's so important because let's be real. We live in a world that's obsessed with more, right? More stuff, more experiences, more. But honestly, all that striving can actually end up clouding up our vase, We're so busy chasing after everything that we lose sight of what truly matters.
That's so true. It's like that saying, can't see the forest for the trees, Sometimes when there's too much going on, it's hard to appreciate the simple things.
Yeah, and that's exactly what she's getting at. When we let go of that need for more, when we embrace a simpler way of being, that's when we start to experience more peace, more gratitude, and we feel more connected to something bigger than ourselves.
So it's not about denying ourselves nice things or experiences. It's about being more intentional, right? Finding joy in what we already have.
100%. And what I really like about how Dr. Younis presents all of this is that it's not about being perfect. She's not saying we have to be these spiritual superheroes or anything. It's a lifelong journey. It's about, making the effort, showing up each day, and just gently wiping away the dust as we go.
That gentle persistence, I think, that's what I'm taking away from this. It's not about beating ourselves up when we mess up, when our vase gets a little cloudy. It's about having compassion for ourselves, We're all on this journey, and we get to keep learning and growing every step of the way.
So well said. It's about discovering who we really are deep down and letting go of all the things that are holding us back from our true radiant selves.
This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you. Dr. Younis's metaphor, that crystal vase, I think that's going to stick with me for a while. And hopefully with all of you listening too, it's such a great reminder to pay attention to what we're letting into our hearts and minds and what we can do to keep our inner light shining bright. Until next time, keep those vases clean.